Welcome to the 7th Annual Leadership Luncheon of the Olympia Snow Women's Leadership Institute. I am Christina McAnuff, the Executive Director of the Institute, and your host for today's gathering, where we acknowledge the ongoing generosity of you, our donors, partners, board members, volunteers, and friends, and celebrate the efforts and growth of Olympia's leaders and our alumni, now more than 450 Olympia's leaders strong. We are so pleased you have joined us this afternoon. Throughout the event, in the lower right corner of the screen, you will see logos of the individuals, companies, and foundations that contribute to our mission of raising the confidence and aspirations of Maine girls. Without these champions, the program would not be what it is or where it is today. Of course, there's an individual to whom we are also indebted, and without whose vision we would not have a program, meaningful connections with each other and with Olympia's leaders, measurable impact, or this special event. Please welcome our founder, leader, and most vocal advocate of Olympia's leaders, Senator Olympia Snowe.
Thank you, Christina, and good afternoon, everyone. Well, here we are again, hopefully for the last time, gathering virtually for the second year in a row. It's certainly not the same as 650 of us being at our luncheon in an overflowing ballroom at the Holiday Inn by the Bay. But I am so grateful that it all worked because it enabled all of us to connect. And it gave us the opportunity to express our appreciation for your magnificent support and to celebrate the tremendous impact our program is having on the girls. And one advantage of being virtual is that it allows Olympia's leaders from all over Maine to join us, which is especially significant since today's program features them and their terrific accomplishments. Traditionally, we hold this annual event to thank the Institute's phenomenal network of donors, community partners, and volunteers for their many invaluable contributions, as well as share their latest successes and give you all a chance to hear directly from Olympia's leaders. This year, to highlight a new development in the program's evolution, we are also including the perspective of employers. Because, if you all can believe it, the Institute's inaugural high school class of 2018 is now preparing to graduate from four-year colleges in the spring, and they will soon begin to explore employment opportunity in Maine's workforce. So for the first time, we are thrilled to have human resources professionals from three of the Institute's corporate partners joining us today to share their insights on the current hiring landscape and offer words of wisdom for our alumni. It will certainly be interesting to learn about their experiences addressing hiring challenges during COVID and what particular skills they look for in new talent. Following the employer panel, Christina will then introduce three of our exceptional Olympia's Leaders graduates. The girls will share what they have learned through their 3 years in the program, how those lessons have helped them achieve success in higher education, and how they plan to put their skills to work for employers after graduation. We are all certainly excited for the bright future we know they have ahead of them. Now, before we start today's program, I also want to share some very exciting news with all of you in case you have not already heard. Beginning this school year, the Institute is offering Olympia's leaders the opportunity to earn digital badges as well as college credit for their participation in the program. Each year of the Institute's curriculum will now translate to one digital badge, a My Values badge for sophomore year, a My Voice badge for junior year, and a My Vision badge for senior year. Badges are visual representations of learning and will be clear indicators of the capabilities Olympia's leaders develop through our program, such as self-knowledge, communication, empathy, flexibility, appreciation of difference, and the ability to take responsibility. Also, because many Olympia's leaders stay in Maine for post-secondary education, we partnered with the Maine Community College System to make our curriculum credit-bearing. When stacked together, The 3 digital badges will translate into the Olympiads Leaders micro-credential, which is worth 3 college credits. These credits are currently recognized at 4 main community colleges, and the Institute is actively working to identify and map their transferability to other schools throughout the state. We could not be more thrilled to offer this additional benefit to Olympia's leaders, and I am deeply grateful to Eastern Maine Community College for taking a leadership role in the process. Not only will the Olympia's Leaders micro-credential allow the girls to earn college credit for their participation, but the associated digital badges will allow them to highlight the skills they acquire on their resumes. So as you can see, we are developing a virtuous cycle wherein Olympia's leaders are mentored by women from our corporate partners across the state, become employees of those corporate partners with their valuable skills they learn through the Institute, and then, in the hopefully not too distant future, become advisors to their own group of Olympia's leaders. Truly a win-win-win. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Christina to get the program started. Christina?
Thank you, Senator. And get things started, we will. As you heard, we have Olympia's leaders joining us from across the state. In fact, some of our partner schools are hosting their own luncheons, gathering Olympia's leaders and their advisors and school contacts to watch this live stream together. Special shout outs go to Belfast Area High School, Boothbay Region High School, Calais, Lewiston, Lisbon, Mount Blue, Oak Hill, Poland Regional, Presque Isle, and Spruce Mountain High Schools. And apologies if I overlooked anyone. And another shout out to Allison Bromsky. Happy birthday, Allison. We are so grateful for your commitment to Olympia's leaders. While the tone of today is one of joy and celebration, we cannot overlook the fact that we are still in a pandemic with all the related challenges. The last 19 months have been turbulent for us all. In the working world, employers, employees, and job seekers have felt this acutely. At the Institute, we value our relationships with members of our Leaders Network and corporate partners, and with our alumni, who are poised to enter the workforce in the coming months. Today's panels are a way to initiate the connections we want to facilitate between them. For the first panel, we are joined by 3 HR leaders. Kate Belmore, Vice President and Talent Acquisition Manager at Camden National Bank, Maureen Lafferty, Director of Talent and Learning at L.L. Bean, and Catherine Lamson, Senior Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer at the Memic Group. Catherine is also a board member of the Institute and was an advisor to the inaugural class of Olympia's leaders at Lewiston High School. In fact, one of her Olympia's leaders, Mervik Baraka, is featured on our second panel today. Welcome, Kate, Maureen, and Catherine. Diving right in, we know COVID resulted in everything from furloughs and layoffs to transitioning to remote work and supporting employees who have children being schooled online from home, to transitions back to the office. We're even hearing of businesses in some industries closing or limiting hours because they can't hire enough staff. Please give us a little bit of your background and share how your company has been impacted by COVID, the greatest challenge you're experiencing with the hiring process and pool of candidates, and what HR initiatives have come out of this challenging time at your company. Kate, welcome, and please start us off. Oh, we can't hear Kate. We cannot hear you now. So why don't we go to Maureen? Maureen, will you start us off, please?
I'd be happy to. Thanks for the opportunity to talk here today. My name is Maureen Lafferty. I'm the Director of Talent and Learning at LL Bean. I lead teams that are responsible for employee and leader development, as well as teams responsible for all of our hiring. I've spent most of my career in HR with a brief side trip on a 2-year assignment in information technology. In terms of how LL Bean has been impacted over the last 18 months and what we've faced for challenges, I think first and foremost, we've been impacted like many companies have been impacted. And the challenges that we have faced and the priorities that we have been about keeping our employees and our customers safe. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. We've really been focused on keeping our employees and our customers safe, meeting the needs of remote and on-site employees, because we have had employees working on-site since the start of the pandemic. Hiring challenges have been in the forefront of other things that we have been focusing on, both in terms of hiring for the 3,000 to 4,000 seasonal employees that we need to hire each year, as well as hiring for our sort of year-round and professional positions in a world with significant competition for talent right now. Talent can work from anywhere. And, we've had to adapt our practices and our approaches, think about pay, think about flexibility of schedules, and think about general flexibility in how we support our remote workers.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Kate, can we hear you now?
I think you can. If nothing else, it's a great example of one of the challenges we've faced as employers throughout the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So as Christina stated, my name is Kate Belmore. I oversee talent acquisition for Camden National, and I sort of feel like my career has come full circle because my first real job was actually in banking, working in a call center doing collections of all things. Today, I come to you with over 15 years of experience in human resources in a variety of different industries and different positions within that HR umbrella. I've had the opportunity to get really involved with the Society for Human Resource Management within the state of Maine and use that network throughout my career. When I think over the last 18 months or so with the pandemic, like so many other organizations, we sort of flipped the switch overnight and moved to half of our population working remotely, sometimes for the first ever, while the other portion of our staff continued to come into our banking centers to support our customers, which was absolutely critical because those staff members serve as the financial experts to our customers who were also navigating the impact of the pandemic on their own business. When I think about the hiring process today, it's really a candidate-driven market. You all are seeing the hiring signs in your communities about a number of opportunities that are out there. So we're really focusing on balancing the speed throughout the process as well as maintaining that level of quality. We know that if we're not moving quickly enough, we're going to see candidates that are ghosting us and moving on because they've selected another opportunity. And it's all about flexibility. You probably have read in the news that this time in history has been dubbed the Great Resignation. And I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago and I heard it referred to as the Great Renegotiation. And I think that really sums up what we're experiencing right now. Everything is on the table and it's a candidate-centric market.
Thank you, Maureen. Catherine.
Well, thank you. My name is Catherine Lamson, and as the Senior Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer at the Memic Group, I have had the golden opportunity to be responsible for some leadership in HR as well as organizational development and training. And, insurance is a very, very old industry. I had to look it up this morning, but Lloyd's of London was created in 1688. So we are very traditional. So when March 16th came and we had to transition to remote status, which I might add, we always had remote folks, about 75. It was with ease that we did it. And I have to look at what was really the best thing that came out of that process. Being an old traditional organization or industry, I think that we had the opportunity to come together to provide remote opportunities for folks who always wanted it, but we were too stuck in our old way of doing things to get out there and try it. We were always concerned about technology, whether we would be able to take care of our customers, whether our customers would be able to find us. And the silver lining in our transition was really that we can do anything if we set our mind to it. Now, just like being on mute, which seems to be the phrase of the last 18 months, um, we have worked out all of our technical challenges. For many of us, me included, I was not very technically astute. I wasn't a tweeter or a social media demon, but I have learned, and which tells me I can learn anything. So it's been a great transition, and we've been able to accommodate most schedules. We've been able to help our parents who are struggling with daycare and school issues to this day. So it's been really a wonderful transition for us.
Thank you all for setting the stage for our conversation. We appreciate that many of the roles for which you're hiring require specific skill sets. Computer programming, for example. Candidates may have those skills, or you may have training programs that help them transition into the job. But outside of technical criteria, what skills or characteristics do you look for that make a candidate an even better fit for a role, a team, or your company? And how do you identify and assess those skills and characteristics? Might you share an example of how a candidate has impressed you? What are your thoughts, Maureen?
Thanks for that question. When I think about what we look for in candidates, first and foremost, I think about curiosity, initiative, and confidence. We've had great success with a model that we call best available athlete. And that's particularly useful when we're hiring for early in career roles, or we're hiring people who don't have a lot of experience. And when we say best available athlete, this means we're really looking for potential more than we're looking at direct experience. I can remember a hiring process where I was hiring someone for my team in an HR role. And this candidate had no previous HR experience. She was relatively fresh out of college. And one of the ways in which I tried to assess her potential in that conversation was I shared a short case study and asked her for how she might approach the issue. And through her response, I was able to understand how she uses reasoning, logic, and common sense, and how she was able to identify other resources that she could tap into to help her solve this challenge or issue. Those are really foundational skills for the role. And what I was able to glean from that conversation was that this candidate had tremendous transferable skills, despite the fact that she had no experience or background in HR. We ended up hiring her, and she went on to be a fantastic contributor to the team.
Thank you for that example. And Catherine, I'd love to hear from, you suggested that the insurance industry is an older industry. So how do you assess those skills, and give us an example of a time when you were impressed?
Well, my team is looking for the candidates that are going to assimilate well into our environment. We are increasingly looking at individuals who have some of the soft skills, and those soft skills are inclusive of being part of a team, working with others to achieve a goal, as well as those individual contributor skills. When we have certain tasks that have to be done, business analyst, for example, somebody who's going to take the project, understand what needs to be done, line it up, take a leadership role when it's necessary to take a leadership role, but then step back and work with the team to make sure that we've all accomplished our goals. So those individual and team skills are really important. I do refer to them as soft skills because when I talk to people, I like to hear their examples. Tell me how you became an individual contributor when you were part of a team. As well as some of the other things that we look for are those micro credentials. the technical skills. Now, if you are looking at somebody's LinkedIn site and you look at their profile, you'll see some of those digital badges and those micro credentials that they've achieved. Those are becoming increasingly more valuable in the workplace. And of course, one of the greatest things that I like to see is adaptability. The one thing we can count on is change. It's here to stay, and it's happening faster and faster. And so we've got to be adaptable to whatever happens. I mean, let's face it, we were in the office on a Friday and everybody was out on a Monday, and we adapted. So that's always important.
Thank you both. It's reassuring to hear that so many of the skills you cited are woven throughout the Institute's 3-year program. Because our program is designed for young women, the statistic that men apply for a job when they meet only 60% of the qualifications, but women apply only if they meet 100% of them is often cited. Confidence is also suggested as a factor. What would you like to say to Olympia's leaders or women in general about that? Is it worth applying for a job even if a candidate does not meet all the criteria? Catherine, your thoughts?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Raise your hand, put your best foot forward, and think about what it is that you're trying to achieve, trying to accomplish, and how you're going to get there. Use your network, use your mentor. If you're not 100% confident, practice with your mentor, practice talking about what you're looking for. How are you going to present yourself to that employer to make that really, really good first impression? Tap in. The Olympia Snow program, leadership program, has given the tools to these absolutely brilliant young women, and they have their own network built right in, so tap in and use it.
Thank you. Maureen, what are your thoughts?
I so agree with Catherine. I think absolutely go for it. If nothing else, you will learn so much going through the process, whether or not you land the job. It's a great development opportunity. And as you're going through that process, I really think focusing on your transferable skills is important. To me, that demonstrates an understanding of what it takes to do the job well. And then I also think it's important to acknowledge your gaps, but share how you would go about closing those gaps. What would you do to find resources? How would you learn the aspects of the role that you are less familiar with? But make sure that you approach that with a learning orientation and a focus on really, being committed to doing that.
That's great. So as we encourage women to apply for roles and to consider how their skills are transferable, I recall what you shared, Kate, that candidates in this environment often have multiple job offers. And I can imagine that adds an additional layer of complexity to the process, which can already be very nerve-wracking, particularly for first-time job seekers. So how do you recommend Olympia's leaders and others approach this opportunity? To what extent should they be transparent about other positions they're pursuing? Kate?
So had you asked me 2 years ago, my answer may have been a little bit different. We're now in a place where we're having that very candid conversation with every candidate about what are the other opportunities that they're exploring. I see our role as trying to find sort of this perfect fit between what they're looking for and what the need is that we have at the organization. So I want candidates to have the permission to share that information and really have a dialogue about that. I'm making an assumption when we're working with candidates that they're also talking to other employers. So we have an obligation to make sure that they walk away from those discussions understanding the Camden National story and what we have to offer them as a place of employment. To the candidate that may be facing multiple offers and making some decisions about which way to proceed, I encourage them to think really intentionally about what they want. What do they want in an employer? What do they need for flexibility? What locations are they truly willing to drive to when push comes to shove? And sort of create that list that can serve as a guidepost as they're assessing different opportunities. Lastly, there's one item on that list that I would advocate should be there, and that's really the alignment with the company's core values, understanding that those are how that organization is going to treat their people, make decisions. It's just really, really critical.
And Maureen, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts from a really large
Sure.
multinational
Yeah.
organization.
I agree. I would always encourage transparency. I think it's so important for candidates to be transparent that they are considering other offers or they are looking at other opportunities. And it's important for the companies to, as Kate pointed out, really have discussions about that. I think it gives the candidate a really important opportunity to be clear about why this role is the one that they really want, about what they're looking for in a role, what they're looking for in an organization. And I really think it gives the candidate an opportunity to take an active and assertive role in the search process. We often think about the job candidates, the people looking for the jobs, being a bit more passive in the process. And now is a really important time for job seekers to really take control of the process, be really active, and as Kate said, be really intentional about what you're looking for.
Okay, so we are applying for roles with our transferable skills, and we're having candid conversations with prospective employers. In the past, the thinking has been to just get a foot in the door. In this market, though, it seems as though the door's open to have more meaningful conversations about job fit, benefits, and even salary. What questions would you encourage Olympia's leaders to ask themselves during the process? And what questions might you suggest they ask the hiring manager or human resources? And finally, what sign points to the fact that a candidate has found the right job, a job that they are excited about and will help them realize or forward their vision and goals? Catherine, let's start with you.
Well, as a candidate, this is probably the best time on earth to be looking for a job because jobs are very plentiful and there are multiple opportunities. So do your research. Do your research on the values of the organization. Do you know what the vision statement is for that organization? Do you know what their mission is? Do you believe in their mission? Is it something you can really put your heart and soul into? And as you're sitting there talking with the manager, be thinking about if this was my boss, is this a great relationship for me? Do we see eye to eye? Do I feel comfortable asking my questions? Am I going to grow here? Are there career opportunities? Is my benefit program going to support me? What about wellness? That I'm worried about not only my job, but my wellness, my financial wellness, my physical wellness. Is this company going to support that? And what about DEI initiatives? How do I feel about those things? And does this company support how I feel? And then again, think about the future and the career opportunities and development. Am I going to have a mentor here? Is this where my mentor will help me to start my career, to develop my skills, or to put all of my credentials to good use? I think we have to ask ourselves all of those things. And when candidates come in, we have to remember this is kind of like a dance. Do we all get along? Are we dancing well together?
Thank you, Catherine. Maureen, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I would add. I think important questions to ask yourself as you're exploring opportunities is really think about what you want from a job, not just what you want in a job. Sort of how do you want to gain from the job? What do you want to learn? How do you want to develop? How does it support your aspirations? Think about and ask about what you want to gain from being associated with a particular organization. We've talked a lot today about the importance of understanding the core values of the organization and considering if that feels like a good fit for you. I also would agree with Catherine about asking about what types of internal mentoring or development are available to you. And then throughout the process, look to your network, look to your resources, your mentors, and even the people that you're interviewing with for feedback about how you're doing in the process and how you could improve.
Kate, I know that you're really passionate about helping people find the right fit. Is Any final thoughts before we move to close our panel?
I would just add, you need to be willing to have the conversation and ask for those things that are important to you. If you don't, the answer is going to be no. So it's important to be willing to have that tough conversation.
Another strong woman. So your comments are invaluable for Olympia's leaders and particularly our alumni. In closing, what final thoughts, tips, or words of wisdom do you each have for Olympia's leaders entering the workforce in the coming months? Kate? Oh, Kate, we lost you, I think. So I'm gonna start with Maureen, and we'll come right back to you.
I think explore lots of options is the advice that I would put out there. It is a great time to be a job seeker, and don't settle for a job or an organization that isn't a good fit for you.
Thank you, Maureen. Kate, are you back with us? Okay, not yet. So we're going to go with Catherine, and we're going to hope that Kate will close us out.
I guess I think that you, as you look at your options, be aware of your social media presence. What is your personal brand, and what does your social media presence say about you and your personal brand? Is it what you want it to be? Because remember, people look. Not everybody, but more and more every day look at social media. And remember, for the Olympia's leaders, you have a built-in network of support. We're here for you. We've built this network together, and it's for you. So feel free to use it. Use it, connect in LinkedIn, join other groups, join the alumni group, and raise your hand and ask for help and support when you need it. And don't be afraid to follow up. Follow up and let us know where you are, because this network is available for you from now until whenever.
Once an Olympia's leader, always an Olympia's leader. And you're right, it's really nice when we know where you're heading. And just a reminder for all of our panelists, you are all mic'd, so anything you're doing, we can hear. I know someone excitedly typing. Kate, before we go, I would love to give you a chance to weigh in too, because I know you have some thoughts around social media in particular.
Let's hope you can hear me.
Yay, we can.
Okay. I echo what Catherine said about social media. I think it's really important that your brand that you present online is really the brand that you live. Many employers are doing reference checks, background checks, credit screens, and now you'll often see social media screens as well. So I encourage each of you to really consider, if we were to pull together a collection of everything that you've posted and shared and liked and commented on social media, is that the brand that you want an employer to see of you?
Thank you, Maureen. And thank you all for your time and insights this afternoon. We'll close this panel with a reminder to all Olympia's leaders that the Institute's statewide network of support is here for you. Use it. And now it's time to hear from Olympia's leaders. But before I forget, if you have a few minutes at the close of our program, we have a special treat for you, and you'll not want to miss it. This year, 3 alumni are with us to share their perspectives on life since high school, their path through post-secondary education, and their ideas for the future. Since each Olympia's leader will introduce herself, I'd like to share a few fun facts with you to add some dimension to what you hear from Mervik, Haley, and Sophia. Mervik Baraka represents the inaugural class of Olympia's leaders, and you just heard from Catherine, one of her OLAs. Fun fact, Mervik speaks 4 languages, and one path she's considering for after college is in the insurance industry, where Catherine is an HR leader. That's certainly a network for you. Haley Hersey has a passion for journalism. For a writing assignment on the last day of her summer internship with the Morning Sentinel, where she now works part-time, she went skydiving, even though it terrified her. And less than an hour later, she clocked in for a shift as a service leader at Hannaford. Olympia's leaders certainly are brave and busy. And Sophia Wood is in the same a cappella group that Anne Hathaway was in when she went to Vassar. And Sophia just finished directing a musical on campus. Congratulations, Sophia. Of course, though, you want to hear directly from Olympia's leaders. Haley, Sophia, and Ravik, I invite you to introduce yourself and share with us a skill you acquired when you were an Olympia's leader, and give us an example of how it has served you in college. Haley?
Hello, everybody. As Christina said, my name is Haley Hersey. I'm a 2020 graduate of Lawrence High School in Fairfield, Maine. While I was there, I was my class's class president for all 4 years. I graduated salutatorian of my class and National Honor Society president. I attend the University of Southern Maine in the Honors College. I'm majoring in media studies. While I was at the Institute, I really developed my determination and resilience. At college, that's especially really a useful skill to have because you're placed in these classes that are at such a higher level than your high school courses, even if you take like AP courses or other challenging courses and you're in this new environment. And so you really need to be self-sufficient and resilient to be able to support yourself and kind of connect with different resources on campus. And I'm super grateful that I developed those skills earlier on because I know a lot of my peers are still developing those skills.
Thank you. Sophia, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Sophia Wood. I graduated from Edward Little High School in Auburn in 2019. I am a media studies and educational studies double major at Vassar College. I am involved in a cappella and student theater on campus, and I have interned with nonprofit education foundations, and I'm currently interning with a PR firm. A skill I acquired while being in OL was confidence. By confidence, I mean the confidence to speak up when I may not have before. I definitely am still working on my confidence, but that was something that I gained. It's been extremely helpful in college as I've had the confidence to put myself out there when it comes to networking, getting these internships, and asking professors to join their courses.
Thank you, Sophia. And Mervik.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Mervik. I am a 2018 graduate of Lewiston High School. I am currently attending Susquehanna University and I am studying economics with a public policy minor. In college, I am a part of Feminist Collective, BSU, and a couple other organizations on campus. One skill that I can say that I gained during my time with the Institute would have to be communication. So I grew up as a very shy and quiet individual, and I always found it easy for myself to fall into the listener role. And even though that is also an important skill, I know it's just as important to be able to be an effective communicator and know how to, talk about your ideas, your values, and your voices like we learned in the Institute. And this skill has really allowed me to be able to successfully navigate the different aspects of college life from, my personal life, my educational life, as well as my professional life. And I know that this is a skill that's definitely going to be useful as I enter the workforce, in May when I graduate.
Thank you. It's amazing to hear how you have each engaged in your college communities. Students often talk about how much they grow personally in college. I think part of it is being independent and living away from home, and part is being exposed to new people, perspectives, and possibilities. What path did you plan to take when you entered college, and what has your path been? And how, if you did, make the decision to go in a new direction? Haley.
Yeah, so I graduated high school with 41 college credits, so I was already on an accelerated course through college. So I entered as a second semester sophomore as a human bio major, still in the honors college, which I've stuck through. But I realized that I wasn't as passionate about medicine because I was on that pre-med track. I found it interesting and I was good at it, but I felt this pressure from people around me to kind of go down that path. So getting to college and taking some of those classes, I was kind of exposed to different resources on campus that kind of opened my eyes to what else was out there. And so then after speaking with some professors, we found that media studies was such a better fit for me. And so now I'm set to graduate in the spring and doing something that I really enjoy and kind of getting some experience as a journalist.
That's fantastic. Mervik, what was your path like, and did it change?
Yes, so I came into college as a fashion enthusiast. I loved fashion. I wanted to be able to study luxury brand marketing and management and hopefully work for Zuhair Murad one day and even potentially start my own company later down the line. But life kind of took an interesting twist in my first semester, and I took an introductory course in economics, and I just completely fell in love with it. I'm really passionate about being able to, use my knowledge of economics to be able to draft policies for like finding sustainable economic solutions for community and country development. And that's the track that I'm on right now, and I'm just looking forward to where that will take me in the future.
Wow. Sophia, what about your path? Is it what you thought it would be?
No. When I first entered college, I planned to be drama and econ double major, but I quickly realized that that was not the path for me. I've had to go through a lot of self knowledge and a lot of self reflection since being at college. I've always gone to predominantly white institutions, and realizing how that affected me with my journey in drama and STEM courses allowed me to dive deeper into what I really wanted to gain from college. And being in places that fostered diversity on campus and programs that allowed me to explore my identities through my coursework, such as media studies and education, were big pieces of why I changed my path.
Wow. So all three of you have changed course since you graduated from high school. I can imagine it took a great deal of self-knowledge, as you said, Sophia, to work through that and to go in a different direction. Kudos to you all. You heard from the panel of HR leaders that employers are looking for candidates with human skills, such as intellectual curiosity, confidence, initiative, and emotional intelligence. Which of these skills, or others I didn't mention, do you possess? And how would you highlight them to potential employers? Maybe share an example or a story. Sophia, please.
Yeah, I think that I said before, confidence is something that I gained, but I also think that finding confidence is something that you're always working on and continuing to work towards. I gained confidence through the Institute, but I am definitely not done on my journey in gaining confidence. I think it goes hand in hand with curiosity. I think we're naturally curious to find opportunities that better us as people, but it also takes confidence to help us take action and seize those opportunities, make those connections. And it's those connections with potential employers, faculty, and friends that help us continue to grow and learn more about ourselves and become the best versions of ourselves.
Mervik, what about you?
I would have to say for me, it would have to be empathy. This is a skill that has really allowed me to connect a little bit more to the people that I meet in college, from my friends to the faculty who've been here for me for the past couple of years, as well as alumni who come back for networking events. It has really allowed me to really build and maintain those meaningful relationships because I know they will, come up in the future when I need them and so forth. And as a president of Feminist Collective, it has allowed me to really sit down and listen to the voices of the different groups that I represent and to be able to make sure that their voices are being heard by the greater Susquehanna community here in Pennsylvania.
And Haley, what about your human skills, and how would you share them with potential employers?
I think for me, curiosity and communication are really the key. I have a goal of being a lifelong learner, and so I think that it shows a lot when you're not afraid to ask questions and kind of admit when you need a little bit more guidance or kind of need some support. So working as the news editor for my college's paper, I'm working with different people on campus and different resources, and so being able to have these communications where we can ask each other questions and kind of lean on each other for support and to be able to effectively express what we need to, I think that's super important. And I think being able to enhance those skills and kind of get better at that through use of the Institute was super helpful.
Thank you. So the three of you will be entering the workforce in the next 6 to 18 months. What do you want employers to know about your generation? Generally speaking, we know each of you is very different. What matters to you? Or in other words, what are your priorities? Mervik?
Yes, I would have to say that, our generation is very much capable of adapting to different situations. We're the generation that has seen our world change, as we know it. And COVID-19 has really also showed us that you can never really be too comfortable in one environment. And our generation is so capable of being able to continue to excel and succeed in these changing environments, whether that is in our professional life and even in our personal lives.
What are your thoughts, Sophia?
I agree with that. I also think that our generation holds our values and our voices to really high standards. I think we can see this in all of the work our generation has done with the social justice movements, especially recently, and calling for action. Our voices, which are heavily influenced by our values, matter to us, and we want to be heard and appreciated for them.
Haley, what would you like to add?
Yeah, I agree with both of them. And it was kind of touched on in the previous panel that experience is kind of a big thing now. As new college graduates and new people who are joining the workforce, we might not have as much experience, but we're passionate. We want to be given a chance. So if you take a chance on young people, like, we have so much to offer. We have different perspective than some people that have been in the workforce for a while. And I think that it would be really critical to have these conversations and tough conversations that people don't necessarily want to have, because we want to see this change in the workforce and in society in general, kind of like what Sophia was saying with social justice movements.
Well, it sounds like your questions and those conversations will be welcome. The Institute is proud of the network of support it's assembled for Olympia's leaders, and guests today include many of our corporate partners and donors and hundreds of individuals committed to the Institute and to you, Olympia's leaders. In addition to any final comments you'd like to share, I'm wondering, what do you want our donors and partners to know about what the program has meant to you and what the network can do for you as you transition to the workforce? Mervik?
Yes. So first off, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to be a part of such an impactful organization that's, aimed at uplifting young women and showing us that we can be the future leaders of tomorrow and that we can change our world for the better. One thing I would say personally for me, as someone who's really interested in community and country development, that I would just love to be given a chance to be able to live out those passions and to really be of service to other people who might not be as fortunate as me, or who might also be coming from a similar situation as myself. Yes, that's what I would like to share.
Thank you. Sophia, what would you like to offer?
Yeah, I think the program also meant a lot to me because it gave me such skills that I've continued to grow upon in college. I'm not entirely positive what I'm doing after undergrad, but I think that's okay. I think it's great. It's okay if you don't know what you're doing right after high school or right after college. And I think that sometimes we forget that because we're so driven, especially as OLs, we're so driven to always keep constantly moving. But I have been looking into graduate schools, going into the fields of education, most likely, whether that be education reform, teaching, a nonprofit. I'll definitely figure that out within the next year or so. But I think that the network that we have as OLs is amazing and incredible. And I am looking forward to working with all of the alums and the current people that are in the program. And I'm extremely grateful to be a part of this program.
Thank you. Haley, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, this network is just something that is so powerful, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it, because not only is the network beneficial to the Olympia leaders and the alum, but to the donors and the partners. You have these strong, intelligent, powered women at your fingertips who are going to be joining the workforce. You have the pick of the crop, essentially. So to be able to be a part of something that's a lifelong experience and kind of empowered me at such a young age, that now I feel like I can help empower other young women, and to be able to come back to this program and to speak to the Olympia's leaders is such an amazing thing, and I'm super grateful for that. Moving forward after the spring, when I'm done with undergrad, I'm considering a couple of graduate school options, but I'd also like to stay in the Southern Maine area and kind of get more involved with journalism or media and kind of be able to work and kind of develop my skills so I have that experience and kind of be a part of the workforce. So those are my plans for now, at least.
Well, hopefully folks at Masthead, Maine and heard that, and I'm sure that we can help you connect with others in our network. And so I want to thank you, Mervik, Sophia, and Haley for sharing your experiences, hopes, and your goals with us today. You certainly have bright futures ahead of you, and we want to support you all the way. It's clear that time will be well spent as the Institute creates opportunities to connect Olympia's leaders with organizations in our network in the coming months. We'll be thinking of the three of you and your peers as you finish college and make your way into the workforce, or into graduate studies. Thinking of our network, the Institute is excited to host the next Leaders Network Professional Development Workshop early next month. Focused on negotiation, which we heard about in our HR panel, leaders from Pierce Atwood, Central Maine Power, IDEX, and Systems Engineering will help us strengthen that skill. That concludes our time together today. While we heard about challenges for companies with respect to hiring, they expressed an eagerness to engage in meaningful conversations with candidates. It appears there are many doors open for Olympia's leaders and other job seekers. So to Olympia's leaders, we say, consider your values as you review options, employ your voice as you investigate different companies and negotiate for jobs, and be true to your vision for how to live as your best selves. When we're aligned with our values and vision, work is truly fulfilling. Thank you to our panelists for sharing your insights, our donors, partners, and friends for making sure this valued program is available year after year, our school contacts for making it possible to engage with Olympia's leaders in your schools, our OLAs for giving their time and talents to deliver the program month after month for 3 years, and to Olympia's leaders. You are the future of our communities, our state, and our country. You matter, and we believe in each one of you. We look forward to seeing you all in person in 2022. And if you have a few moments, we encourage you to stay with us for an extra special surprise. We're sending you off with a recording of Song to the Moon from Dvorak's Rusalka, which is featuring harpist Rachel Ouellette, an alumna of the Institute. Enjoy and thank you.